Welcome to today's lesson. Today's lesson will focus on the whole number system. We're going to look at how to write random numbers in tens, hundred, thousand. We'll look at how to round up numbers in significant figures. Now, this is very important in the whole number system in our manipulation of numbers. So let's get started. Let's start with when we have a question that asks us to round numbers, round the following numbers to, let's start with 1, the nearest tens. This is the main topic, the whole number system. So the first we're going to look at now is how to round numbers to the nearest tens. Now let's assume I am given Roman figure 1, this number. Let's say I have 6, 7, 5. And the question says round it to the nearest tens. What will I do? Well, before you can be able to solve this question, there are things you must understand about the whole number system when it comes to rounding off numbers. Now let's start with this. I'm going to draw a number line here, and this is divided into 2. And let's say this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, and this is 9. And let's number the side 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So remember, I've divided it into 2. Okay. Now, when you round up numbers, the numbers that are rounded up, if it is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you round up. Now, what does that mean? It means you convert that number to 0 and then add 1 to the number before it. But if you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in rounding up numbers, you round down if it is any of those numbers. Now, what does this mean is that you simply convert the number to 0 without necessarily adding 1 to the previous number. Well, an example will help us to understand what I am trying to say. Now, let's go back to the question. Remember, we're rounding up 675 to the nearest tens. Another thing we should also remember is the place value system. If I have this number, let's say good, let's stop here. If I'm to give this number its place value, this will be my unit. Or some will call it ones. So you call it unit or ones. And this next one will be my tens. The next one will be my hundred. The next one will be my thousand. The next will be 10,000. The next will be 100,000. Okay, let's assume you have another number here before 6. Then this will be your million. Okay, we can stop it here. So 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1. That's how you divide the numbers. It's easier for you to give it a place value to know which one is the unit or the ones, which one is the tens, which one is the hundred, thousand, 10,000, 100,000, million, as the case may be. Now let's go back to our question. 675. This is the question. I'm going to round this to the nearest tens. So what do? I already know that this first digit here is the units or the ones. The next one is the tens. So that's my focus, the tens. It simply means I'm going to convert the unit to zero, convert the tens to zero. Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. My focus is on the tens to the nearest tens. So I'm not converting it to zero. So it is just the unit I'll convert to zero. And once I do that, then I will check the value under the unit. Is it 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? If it is any of these digits, I will round up. To round up means add 1 to the tens. 1 plus 7, 8. And then this becomes your 6. So your answer is 680. That's to the nearest tens. Let's try add number 2, Roman figure 2. Let's assume I have 708. The question says round to the nearest tens. Again, this is my units and this is my tens. Those are the two digits I'm going to be particular about. The first digit unit, you convert it to 0. And check, is the digit 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? If it's any of those digits, it means you're going to round up. And how do you round up? You add 1 to the tens. 0 plus 1. And that is 1 and 7. That is the answer to the question. Very easy. Some would say easy peasy. Let's go to Roman figure 3. I have 817. Again, this is my units and this is my tens. I'm rounding to the nearest tens. Convert the units to 0. And so since the units can be rounded up, you add 1 to the tens, and that is 1 plus 1, 2, and you have 820. Easy peasy. Number 4. I could have 1,618. And the question says round to the nearest tens. Again, I'll only define my units or my ones and my tens. So what do I do here? I round up because the unit is greater than 4. So convert it to 0 first. And rounding up, you add 1 to the tens. 1 plus 1 is 2. You have 6, 1, so 1,620. So that's the basic rule. When the digit is greater than 4, you round up. When it's less than 5, you round down. Now let's see an example in which we will have to round down. If I have a question like this, 2,934. This is my units, this is my tens. Remember, I'm rounding to the nearest tens. So in this case, convert the unit to 0, but the unit is not greater than 4. Remember, we said when it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, you round down. So in this case, since the unit is 4, we're going to round down, which means there is no point adding 1 to the tens. You just write the 3, 9, and 2. So 2,930. Let's try out number 6. Let's assume I have 68,903 to the nearest tens. Again, I'll define my units and my tens. Remember, the unit is also the same thing as ones. depends on what part of the country you are watching this video from. Now this, the unit becomes 0, but before writing the other digits, we check, is it greater than 4? Now since the unit is 3, it means I'm going to round down, and that simply means I'll retain the tens the way it is without adding 1 to it, and then write out the other digits, and then I have this 68,900. Number 7. Let's assume I have 368,012. Now 368,012. This is my units, and this is my tens. Since the digit under the units is not greater than 4, I'm going to round down. Remember, we're rounding to the nearest tens. So this is going to be 368,000. Easy peasy, right? Okay. Now let's look at a situation where you're asked to round the following numbers to the nearest 100. Now remember, we've done tens. Now let's move over to 100. I'm still going to use those same values I used for rounding up to the nearest tens. So let this be Roman figure 1. Let's say I have 675. Now because I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I'm going to define my unit, which is ones, also your tens, and then you stop at 100 because you're rounding to the nearest 100. Now let's check it out. Convert the units to 0 so that you are not confused with that. Your focus now will be on the tens. Why? Because you're rounding to the nearest 100. So you consider the two close values, the 100 and the tens, because you're rounding to the nearest 100. Remember, when we're rounding to the nearest tens, our concentration with the two closest value, which is the units, or the ones and the tens. So our focus now will be on the tens and on the 100, since we're rounding to the nearest 100. The tens value is greater than 4. So if it is 7, you round up. You convert it to 0, add 1 to the 100, and that's 6 plus 1, and that becomes 700. So in other words, we're saying 675 is closer to 700 than it is closer to 600. So let's go to Roman figure 2. I have 708. This is my unit, my tens, and my 100. Now focus, convert the unit to 0. Our focus will be the 100 and the tens. The tens is 0. So I'm rounding down. Simply means 0, 7. So 708 is closer to 700 than it is to 800. Now let's go to Roman figure 3. I have 870. Again, our focus will be on the tens and the 100. Convert the unit to 0. The tens is 1, so I'm rounding down. Convert it to 0 and write 8. There's no need to increase the value of 8. Now Roman figure 4, I have 1,618. So our focus will be on the tens and the 100. So the unit will be 0. The tens, the digit under the tens is 1. So I'm rounding down. Convert it to 0, 6, then your 1. Let's go to number 5. I have 2,934. This is your ones or your unit, your tens, and your 100. So my focus is on the 100 and the tens. So the unit convert to 0. The tens is 3. It means I cannot round up. I round down. So convert it to 0, the 9 remain what it is, and then becomes 2,900. Now let's go to 6. 68,903. This is your unit, this is your tens, this is your hundred. So our focus is on the hundred and the tens. Now convert the unit to zero. Now let's look at the tens. The tens is zero, so I'm going to run down. Do not change anything, then 68. Number 7 example, I have 368,012. Unit, tens, hundred. So what do I do here? I'm focusing on tens and a hundred. So the unit is 0. Since the tens is 1, I'm rounding down. So 0, 0, and then you write 368. That is your value. So it's easy peasy, like we said. Let's increase this now. Let's see if we can get for Roman figure 8. Let's assume I have 6,789,654. This is my unit, my tens, and my hundred. So the focus is on the tens and the hundred. First of all, your unit is 0. So let's look at the tens. It's 5, so I can round up, convert it to 0, add 1 to the hundred, and this becomes 7. Once you've done that, then write every other digit with just the way it is. So 6,789,700. Let's try Roman figure 9. Let's assume I have 9,999. And to round this number to the nearest hundred, this is my units or my ones, this is my tens, and this is my hundred. So what do? I convert the unit to 0. How about the tens? The tens is 9, so I can round up, convert it to 0, and add 1 to the digit on the hundred. If you add 1 on to the digit on the hundred, that would be 9 plus 1. Now here you have to be very careful. You cannot write 10. It's like the addition where you had to rename. 9 plus 1 is 10, so you write an 0. You carry this 1 to the other digit, and 9 plus that 1 is 10. So here, I'm supposed to have 0, 10, and that's 10,000. Now, let's try another one. If this is confusing, let's see. I have 89,994. This is my units, my tens, and my hundred. Remember, I'm rounding to the nearest hundred. So my focus is on the tens and the hundred. So the unit, it's 0 already. Now let's look at the tens. It's 9. I can round up. To do that, I add 1 to the next digit and convert the tens to 0. So at this point, let's go back to the addition process. 9 plus 1 is 10. You take 1 to the other digit. 9 plus 1 is also 10. You take 1 to the other digit. 8 plus 1 is 9. So I have 0, 9, 0, which is 90,000. Okay, let's do the last one. I hope this would help us to get the whole picture clearly. 9, 9, 9, 3. This is units, this is tens, and this is hundred. To the nearest hundred, remember, so our focus will be on the hundred and the tens. I'll convert the unit to 0. Now let's look at the tens. The tens, the digit there is 9, so I can round up by adding 1 to the hundred. So you convert the tens to 0. Now at this point, you have to do this so that you're not confused. 9 plus 1 is 0. You take 1 to the other digits. 9 plus 1 is 0. Take 1 to the other digits. 1 is 0. Take 1 to the other digits. 9 plus 1 is 0. Take 1 to the other digits. 1 plus 1 is 2. So you look at the digit you're going to write. 0. The next one. 0, 0, 0, and 2. So you have 2 million. That is the answer to the question. Okay, so this is Test My IQ. You have 10 questions. The first set of questions, you have to round to the nearest tens. And then the second set of questions, you have to round to the nearest 100. And I want you to take your time to do this. Work them out. Put your answers in the comment section. Let's see who will be the first to get the questions correctly. Once again, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next class. In the next class, we're continuing our rounding of numbers, and this time around, we're increasing it to the nearest 1,000, and then we'll look at significant figures.